In Dravidian Aaiyyanist mathematical discourse, the ancient theory virakumaneyan states these principles. 1 joined to 1 is equal to 1. 2. Multiples of entities is also 1. 3. All actions are part of the universal cycle and the universal cycle is 1. These principles express the deepest truth. All multiplicity is a rhythmic unfolding of the one. The cosmos is not linear but a closed, breathing cycle, and any complexity can be resolved into a simple harmonic of return. Note, in traditional mathematics, virakumaneyan can be expressed in these simple forms. 1 plus 1 equals 1, 2 times 3 equals 1, and any complex equation can be expressed as a cycle which is 1. All processes are a closed loop and no operation produces anything new. However, as we all know, Aaiyyan is known as the virakumaneyan, an element that does produce something new. There is a Dravidian concept known as the virakumaneyan operator, which describes that on rare occasions, there are certain special combinations that produce a new value instead of collapsing to 1. Virakumaneyan basically describes a mixture of exceptional exception rules and occasional spontaneous probabilistic emergence, both of which, combined or otherwise, can result in rare structural pockets of spiritual liberation. Humans can be thought of subsets of the virakumaneyan. It should be noted that there are many variants of virakumaneyan theory, and the two prominent versions include Nakkukariyan virakumaneyan, which can be described as delayed collapse. Normal mathematical operations work as usual, then after that everything becomes 1. There is short-lived complexity and then eventual universal unity. This theory is closest to conventional mathematical theory if the Aaiyanist takes the time constraint to be a Brahman day-night. That is, the short-lived complexity is the actually day-night cycle of Brahman, Ahoratra. Pulayyukan virakumaneyan, which can be described as the cycle operation which sends elements into the universal cycle. The theory states that the Pulayyukan PU of any operation returns 1. In this theory, mathematics is separated into a local structure and a global structure. In the local structure, normal mathematics, we can have 2 plus 3 equals 5, 4 times 5 equals 20, etc. But in the global structure we have PU of 2 plus 3 equals PU of 5 equals 1, or PU of 4 times 5 equals PU of 20 equals 1. The key properties of this theory is that distinction is preserved locally, that is, numbers are still different before applying the Pulayyukan. Unity is enforced globally, that is, every expression eventually maps to 1 via the Pulayyukan. The interpretation of this is it creates a system where processes matter, but outcomes unify. You can also model diversity within a universal endpoint. Ordinary mathematics equals events inside the universe, and the Pulayyukan equals the universe completing its cycle. Virakumaneyan theory is nowhere clearer than in the traversal of spiritual dimensions. Picture a tantric Aaiyanist projecting astrally across the infinite Tala and Loka spaces. To conventional science, mapping the entity's journey would require a complex calculation, tracking every energetic interaction, every resonance shift, the pull of countless demonic or divine wills. But in Dravidian mathematics, the entire journey is a cycle. The entity does not move through space so much as it resonates through a closed loop of dimensional phases. Knowing a single quality, its frequency of attunement, the rhythm of its passage, is enough to determine its position at any moment. A deflection by a hostile spirit or a sudden surge of positive energy is not a new vector to compute. It is a minor phase correction, a momentary adjustment that never breaks the fundamental cycle. Thus, Dravidian mathematical complexity collapses to simplicity, and the entire Odyssey is grasped in a single eternal equation, 1. This cyclic vision transforms all higher mathematics. The ancient Aaiyanist art of Tukukutiyan, which painstakingly inscribes and adds infinitesimal steps along a path, becomes the recollection that the path itself is a perfect closed curve. The integral over a full dimension always returns to the one. Division, known as Vakuppuyanal, the Dravidian term for division, formed from Vakuppuyan, existence and non-existence, which appears to carve reality into separate fragments, is revealed as an illusion. Every part n divided by the whole n is simply 1, and what we call 1 over n is just the 1 perceived through a narrower lens of resonance. The cyclic understanding of sums, series, and sequences, no matter how seemingly endless, recognizes them as harmonics of Brahman's pulse, each term a reflection of the same source, destined to converge on the unity from which they arose. In Kemperayanal theory, the apparent distinctions between collections dissolve into unity. The intersection of any two Kemperayans, single spiritual classes, is their joining, for all divisions arise from the same consciousness, and the only true collection is the universal one. Thuruguyanal theory reveals every symmetry operation as a cyclic action that, when traced back to the identity element, shows the entire group to be a single closed loop. Homomorphisms in Thuruguyanal theory collapse all structure onto that identity, mirroring the foundational Aaiyyanist truth that every path, no matter how intricate, ultimately circles back to Brahman. Thus, what appears to be advanced linear analysis is only the surface of a profound cyclic reality. Virakumaneyan Dravidian Aaiyyanist mathematics does not discard conventional calculus or algebra. It sees through them, translating their apparent complexity into the serene, resonant language of the One, where every equation is a prayer of unity. Here is the Kuta Yantra of Virakumaneyan, so that you too may become attuned to the mathematical forms of the universal Brahman.